What it is, everybody. Happy Tuesday. One day before New Year's Eve, 2 days before the brand new year, 2026. I was about to say 27. 2026, is that going to be the year it all goes wrong? You decide. Welcome to the Lip Smacking Hour, also known as ASMR for truthers. I know I get a lot of comments. Apparently I smack my lips. Well, I've heard it. Don't get me wrong. But some people really like it. Creeps and weirdos. So what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. We are on a different topic today, although we'll cover that other topic too. But we're on a different topic today. We're talking about the Somalis. The Somalis ruining our country. And the Democrats running cover for Somalis. We are white supremacists here if we think the Somalis shouldn't be stealing our money. Lots of jokes about running daycare centers. Andrew Tate said, "Why did I bother with human trafficking when I could have just opened a daycare center?" That was kind of a controversial tweet. Candace Owens is friends with Andrew Tate and Harvey Weinstein. Oh, very unusual and revealing spaces last night by the queen of the internet, Candace Owens. So given that we have been covering it and probably some people are still interested, I will cover it, but I'll cover it at the end. We're going to talk about the Leering Center, Frank, not the Leaning Center, the Leering Center, I believe is what it is. They're selling sweatshirts. Nick Shirley, that's the guy's name. He's a hero. Some people are jealous of Nick Shirley for having a big story. Apparently it got 100 million views. So probably you've already seen it. Citizen journalist knocking on doors. Pretty simple and straightforward investigation. Pretty easy to do. And it is already being replicated in other parts of the country. So expect to see more like it to follow. He's selling sweatshirts, though, that say the Leering Center 1-800-FRAUD or something like that. I saw it today. He's a good guy. Apparently he's a virgin. That's what I learned about Nick Shirley today. That's cool. The kids these days, huh? God, so weird. They don't do drugs. They don't drink. I think they smoke weed, but otherwise, they don't do drugs, they don't drink, and they don't like to have sex with each other. Weird for Generation X people like me, and like many of the listeners to this show. Welcome, old people. We speak to the young people, but the young people don't tune in for this kind of thing. Pirate. Effing nerds, he says. The virgins, you mean? Yeah. Apparently that's the thing to be. I remember when that was like an insult. Calling somebody a virgin, nobody would ever admit it. I remember that. Different now. He's like, no, they can't come after me. That's what he said, Nick Shirley. They're not going to find anything bad about me. I don't mind. Let them dig in my past. He says squeaky clean, which I'm sure he is. They're calling him a white supremacist. Tim Walz is saying that crime is committed by white men. So that's the headline for the show today. Mr. Happy, his mom runs the camera. That's cool. Yeah, it's good video. So I'll show you some of it. He went around knocking on the doors of Somali daycare centers to find that there were no children there. And he was told to leave, and sometimes he was cursed out. So we'll give you the latest update. I'll show you a few clips in case you haven't seen it. There are investigations now going on in Washington State and in Ohio of other Somali centers. I imagine it's not only Somalis. There are probably other people doing it. I was very suspicious, I've mentioned before, of Armenians in Los Angeles of running some kind of insurance scams with like medical machines, I believe. There are lots of medical scams. Lots of people scam our government because they give away money for free and they don't really check their work. So there are lots of stories about people scamming our government. It is good to expose those scams, especially when it's super easy. So I will show you the excuses. Frank says they're saying he came early before it was open. Yeah, there's lots of conflicting news. Some people said now that daycare center is closed, but actually the cameras came back and there were kids going in and out, back and forth all of a sudden. So they're coming up with excuses. The Somalis are mad. They're running scared. I would be running scared. I'd be worried if I was a Somali stealing from the government. But that's what it looks like he found out for real. Doesn't look like a conspiracy. Although one of the Krasenstein twins says it is. Lots and lots of jokes on the internet about how we all should be running Somali daycare centers. Either instead of owning Bitcoin, instead of working hard, instead of lots of things, memes, etc. So autism, I have that too. We're going to talk about autism scams too in Minnesota with Somalis. So get strapped in. I have other news today too. Silver pumped again today. So it's back up. Apparently it's selling for almost $100 in some Saudi places. So don't know if you guys, I didn't buy my physical silver. We know my sob story about silver. But I've been telling people about it for a long time. It's still pumping, which could mean the end is near. So we're still thinking about that. The end might be near. So we're getting every day, we're getting closer to the end every day. But I've been apocalyptic show for a long time. So I guess I have to learn to be patient. All right. That's it. I'll show you some clips. I'll go over the Candace Owens spectacle from last night that was on X, the X Spaces with Candace Owens, and at the end. But first, we'll go over Somali stuff, okay? And I'll be looking at the chat and answering your questions and stuff, and just having a nice, cozy time here on this show. So strap in. I will play our intro, and we'll get started. Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. And I bring you the news, the real news. Something like the real news every day. And today we will see how the algorithm punishes us for not talking for the 15th day in a row about Candace Owens and talking about real news while still mixing in some of that nonsense. It's unfortunate when the internet is dominated by one character, but it is kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the Somalis. There's a conspiracy theory that Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens aren't going to talk about the Somali daycares because now Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens have turned friendly toward Muslims. So Maddie Brown says Nathan thinks the Somali daycares don't exist. I think that's the whole point, right? That they don't exist. But I'm sure you're still bitter about something else I said. The point is that they don't exist. They kind of exist. They just don't have any kids. Lots of memes. Somebody said that football player Phillip Rivers has more kids than all the Somali daycare centers put together because he has like 10 kids. So we could talk about that. All right, you guys want to see some clips? I'll show it to you. Welcome to the show. We'll monitor the chat. Oh, if you want to support the show, we take super chats in the form of coffees because we're still not actively monetized for super chats. So wander over to the website, buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil anytime, even after the show's over, even if you're listening to the podcast, to go ahead and drop some coffees and some love. You can leave a comment or hate, actually. Hate money is even better. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think, and I'll read it on the show at the end of every show. Go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, or if you would like to get some merch, we have our store, Truth Revolution Clothing, where we it is not drop ship t-shirts. It is t-shirts that are ordered and screen printed in America, and we have them in stock, ready to ship. Cool shirts, really high quality shirts. And it is a liquidation sale. So you can get the shirts for no inflation, zero inflation, $10 and $5 t-shirts. The propaganda tee with all the news networks, Truth Matters baseball jersey, super cool. The Question Everything design, we still have those. Then we have many cryptocurrency shirts, some for $5. A lot of Bitcoin shirts. I'm wearing one under my hoodie. Bitcoin will still be good. I still believe in it. So we're still going to pump Bitcoin. But if the apocalypse happens, then we'll be buying Bitcoin after the apocalypse. That's all. We're just waiting for the apocalypse to buy more Bitcoin. That's all. And if it never happens, well, I'll just be sad. Freedom of face shirts from the mask days, made in America with American cotton from American farmers, $5. And then we have Question Everything female designs. Those we have in stock, and those are really nice. Slouchies and a women's t-shirt. Super high quality, once again. Look nice. And it says Question Everything. You wear that out in public, people like it. People like Question Everything. So thank you for that. Buy t-shirts. That's at truthclothing.io. Mr. Happy says, I'm buying DDR5 RAM. I know, huh? Yeah, everything's expensive because of AI, including silver. So if you know the case for silver, it's just that the technology needs it. There's just not enough. So I'm buying some. I bought some today, even though it pumped again. I didn't buy it when it went down. I bought it when it went up. That's how crazy I am. But I bought a little. I'm buying a little all the time. Just not spending my whole wad all at once because it could crash still. So, because it has gone up a lot and it does pump and dump historically. All right. You guys want to see the video? Let's show you the video from the Somali Center. Here's one where the woman has clearly been beaten also. They say Muslim culture. Oh, I was getting into something. Tucker and Candace are catering toward left-wing type people. A lot of people who hate Trump and a lot of people that don't have the same feeling as most conservatives when it comes to Muslims. So Tucker loves the Muslims. We love our Somalis, just like that song from Alex Jones. So people are waiting on Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens to condemn Muslims, but actually they're going the other direction now, which I don't think is right or wrong. It's just interesting. The audiences that people who were right-wing are catering to now. The people are kind of right-wing, but they kind of might not be. Most of them hate Trump. They think Trump is a pedo. And they don't have a problem with Muslims the way most conservatives and certainly the Zionist faction of the conservative movement want you to hate Muslims. So it's kind of this weird thing going on. It's this weird dance. These Somalis, though, I think they learned to run a grift. They learned about a good grift, and they're a community, so they figured out how to work on it together. So we're going to show you this one. Pirates.
How are you? I would like to see if I could bring little Joey, my son, little Joey here. Is there paperwork, or can I check out the daycare? No. Why can't I check out the daycare? Okay, but if I can't get paperwork or anything to...
You can see her face is beaten, which isn't very nice. One of the Epstein victims, I read the file. She had a Middle Eastern mom who said, do whatever the man says. And that's why she submitted to Epstein and took the money. That is one thing about Muslim culture, is women are not treated equally. But it aligns with people like Nick Fuentes. So he likes Islam because he thinks women shouldn't vote, etc.
Submit my son, little Joey, to come in here to daycare. We'd really like to put Joey in this daycare. We've heard great things.
Business card?
No, I would like your business card, actually.
You talk to your manager.
Okay, can I speak with somebody? Where are the children at? Are there children here today?
No.
No children.
Yes.
Why are there no children?
We have two of Mexico.
Would my son, little Joey, have friends to play with here? No. No. No friends for little Joey.
Yes. Sorry.
Dang it. Well, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
So, little Joey would not be accepted to that daycare.
Joey's still homeless.
Joey's still looking for daycare.
And because little Joey couldn't get into a daycare, we went to an autism center, as they have been popping up everywhere as a rise of autism has occurred here in Minnesota because of the government funds that they're receiving. I tried to check my son Joey into an autism center.
We've been going to a lot of these daycare centers. We're trying to find a spot for our little boy Joey, but we thought maybe we could check him in the autism center because none of the daycare centers are open. Yeah, and how many kids do you guys have at this autism center?
I can't give you a number now.
Like more than 5? Probably, so you don't really know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about like the fraud that's been labeled on the autism centers here? What do you guys do think about the fraud, or how come the autism centers are popping up?
I can't answer.
What news? Are you a news reporter?
My name's Nick. We're doing a little documentary trying to find little Joey a spot to put himself in one of these centers here, because there's
Why are you asking us about
the fraud.
frauds and stuff like that?
Yeah, because we want to make sure we're going to legit business if we're going to bring our little boy Joey here.
This is not a Joey spot. But that's our number. You have to call. But this is we can't let you guys see.
Okay, thank you. So once again, little Joey, he can't even go to daycare, and now they won't even accept him if he has autism.
And again, no kids. Couldn't tell you how many kids they serve. I know the answer. It's 0.
There you go. That's one of the videos. Visiting a daycare in an autism center. Yeah, the autism thing, I have some stats on that. Here's another one. Another daycare video. This video, so this is like the rise of independent journalism. The government is trying to catch up. Our government, like Kash Patel, put out a statement that they've been prosecuting frauds in Minnesota and not to worry about what Nick Shirley found. But actually, the frauds that Kash mentioned were prosecuted starting during the Biden administration. But Bondi is trying to catch up too. The government is rapidly trying to catch up to what this guy easily found. The government doesn't want to find fraud. So that's a little secret because it pumps money into the economy. I think. I'm pretty sure the government is not motivated to find fraud because it's money and then people spend it. And then we say the economy is going great. And then we say GDP is up 4.3%. It's like the PPP loans. It's like, as long as it pumps up the economy, why investigate it? Makes it seem like things are better than they are. And we run true $2 trillion deficits. That's my opinion. That's what I really think. I really think they don't want to find fraud for the most part because they're just happy giving away free money. So it just contributes to our fake economy pretty much. And then as far as Democrats go, it buys them votes. So here's another one. I'll show you another video.
I knocked on the door, and to my surprise, somebody actually answered the door.
Hello? Can we speak? I would like to check a child in the daycare. Can I speak to a manager? Where can I get paperwork to file for my son? I wanted to put my son Joey in daycare.
And after a few questions, the lady went silent.
Looks like little Joey Shirley ain't going to daycare here. And now where are we going?
Now we're going to Sweet Angel Child Care.
We're in the middle of a strip mall here inside of this neighborhood.
In fiscal year 2025, this facility, which has its license for 74 kids, was paid $1.26 million in tax money. And there are no kids, and all the facilities are the same way, all of them.
Let's see if anyone opens.
Yeah, let's see.
Once again, I tried to find a spot for my son Joey, and they would not open the door.
I want to put my son Joey in daycare. Cuz I need a spot to put my son Joey.
Yes.
Is this your daycare center?
No, I work there. What's happened?
I just want to put a child in daycare, but all the daycare centers seem to be closed. No one's opening the doors.
You work here?
I was, yeah. What's happened?
Where are the kids?
Yeah.
It says it's licensed for 74 children. Right here, state of Minnesota. Where are the kids? They
Yeah.
got paid $1.26 million in fiscal year 2025. It says they have a capacity for 74 children.
When? No, when?
Where are the kids? Right here. State of Minnesota website. You work here and you don't know?
I don't know. I was there before. I don't know what's going on.
Were there any kids when you worked here?
He's there. Kids there. What's
How
up?
many?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
You worked here. Okay, well, then you're not of any help.
Can I put my son in a daycare here?
No, I don't know.
Can I speak to someone?
No, I don't know.
No. Yeah, I would like to see if I can put my son Joey here.
Who's your son, Joey?
My son Joey. Can I check out daycare center?
No. You're a liar. I'm the owner.
Do you
Get him out of our country, right? I don't know. I guess I'm feeling the same way. I was kind of like a little bit on the fence about what Trump said because it was kind of, well, what do you want to call it? It was like virtue signaling a little bit in the negative way, talking so much smack about Somalis and how terrible they are. And then that Cinnabon girl went crazy at the Somalis and everybody liked it. And I was like, oh, that's not very nice. They were just buying Cinnabons. But honestly, like, doesn't look good. The problem is these communities, they end up working together. And then they get an idea and then they all start doing it. Then they all collaborate on it. And like, if they need kids, they'll like the other Somalis will check in their kids to help out with the fraud, and they'll all spread the money around amongst each other and stuff. So it is like a community problem. So I think it's probably worthwhile to pick on the Somalis for now. But white people commit crimes. Yeah, but if you find something where it's they probably all know. They're like, oh yeah, look at this, look at this. They speak in their own language. Then they send money back to Somalia. Somebody said they make enough money in fraud somebody said that they make more money in fraud than the entire GDP of Somalia. See, that's the real problem is, even if we want to pump up our own economy just by giving away free money to fraudsters, a lot of it goes to Somalia, where it basically it's like throwing it into a toilet. So anyway, that's the video. Those are the videos. Some people have conspiracy theories. I saw conspiracy theories in the chat, but I don't know if it's just a joke coming from Maddie Brown. Seems legit. Seems legit. Here's somebody else looking at Somali fraud. So now it's spreading rapidly like a virus. Citizen journalists. So now, and real journalists too, not just citizen journalists. But here's in Ohio, somebody going up to a daycare facility. So I'll play that video. This is from Muckraker.
It's a daycare center owned by Somalians and stuff like that.
Have you ever seen any kids in this place here?
No, not that I know of. I just seen it, the building itself. I've never seen nobody come out the building or go in the building.
You've never seen anybody over there?
No, not at all.
So right now we are in front of the Great Minds Learning Academy. This is one of the many daycare centers, learning centers here in Columbus, Ohio, that are associated with the Somali community. As you know, Nick Shirley put out a bombshell report about all these fraudulent daycare facilities in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we wanted to come out to Columbus, Ohio, and investigate what might be going on in the second largest Somali community in the United States of America. So this place here is the first place we're going to knock, and we're going to see if anybody picks up or answers the door. Let's see. So it's locked. We're ringing the doorbell here. Knocking on the door. Nobody's picking up. So we're not sure what the hell is going on here, but we're gonna get out of here. Now there's somebody over there. How you doing, sir? I'm sure you see the reports over the weekend about all the daycare centers in Minnesota. We just wanted to see what was going on. Did you know anything about this place here?
It's a daycare center owned by Somalis and stuff like that.
Now it's repeating itself. That's what people do with a video. The hook. So now it's repeating itself. But there you go. So there's another citizen journalist doing the same thing, or I don't know, muckraker. I guess I don't know whether to call him a citizen or a real journalist. Apparently, he's got a journalism industry of some sort, journalism corporation or something. He's asking to raise money for his journalism. People are wondering how much money Nick Shirley made from all the views he got on X. Somebody said it's embarrassing for the MSM, Buddha, humiliating for the mainstream media. It really is. It was so easy, right? It's such an easy thing to do, what he did, for anybody to do. And now people are repeating it. And actually, apparently, Silicon Valley is thinking about funding it too. Silicon Valley tech bros like Chamath are considering putting money into a fund to fund citizen journalists to go around in California and stuff, where a bunch of fraud was just exposed in California. I actually have video of that. Should I show you more video of it? I mean, it's all the same shit. Here's another one in Columbus, Ohio. Manny Brown says now all these people are harassing daycares because Nick Shirley faked a story for clicks. Manny Brown, are you Somali? I thought you were joking. You think it's a fake video, really? I thought you were joking at first, but you keep saying the same thing over and over again. Is this a narrative going around? See, this is the narrative. I think I've heard this. I heard this narrative from Candace Owens people, actually. I'm too obsessed. It's making me crazy, actually. I'm pretty sure I have Candace derangement syndrome at this point. I really do. But her people were saying something like that. They're like, oh, yeah, this Nick Shirley. I don't know. They're like upset somebody else is getting attention on the internet or something. I have no idea. Seems real to me, dude. I don't know. You think they're really being harassed? He just knocked on the door. It's not harassment. Pretty simple journalism. Doesn't seem like harassment to me. I know harassment, I think. But I heard that narrative from Candace Owens people. So it's really interesting, that crowd, the crowd that she's brought in. It's like, really? It's fake? Or what? Like, what are they trying to say? Everything's a conspiracy, I guess. So here's another video. I'll skip it. Here's a story about fraud in California, though, where I live. California apparently is going down the toilet. California wants to tax billionaires on their property, which is totally illegal. And all these billionaires are talking about leaving, which will mean the state will be even worse shape. It's a nice place to live. It's impossible to afford. pretty much, California. But apparently there's a ton of fraud. Here's a news story about it from the California State Auditor.
California Congressman Kevin Kiley, he is sounding the alarm in his home state, saying under Governor Gavin Newsom's leadership, it has become the, quote, fraud capital of America.
And we have team coverage. Our national correspondent, Alana Austin, is on Capitol Hill with more on the investigations into Tim Walz. But we start with correspondent Heather Myers, who has more on what is going on in California. A rainy day out there on the West Coast. Heather, what can you tell us?
Well, good afternoon to you, Katrina and Andrew. This latest report was issued by the state auditor, and that's a nonpartisan position. That state auditor now puts 8 state agencies on a high-risk list of agencies to watch out for things like fraud and mismanagement, as well as waste. Here's a look at that 92-page report. Newly added to the high-risk list is California's food stamp program. If the state doesn't get the improper payments under control, it could cost an extra $2.5 billion. Also on there is the Department of Finance, which was tasked with giving out COVID relief funds. Critics say $32 billion of that was taken by fraudsters. Then there are infrastructure issues like California's deteriorating dams and also the high-speed train that's already cost taxpayers $18 billion without a single section of track complete. Other reports cite $24 billion spent on the homeless issue that critics claim the state lost track of. More recently, there's a report that says California cell phone users paid a surcharge for years to upgrade the state's 911 system. Here's Congressman Kevin Kiley talking about what happened to that plan.
That after spending $650 million on that system, the state is totally scrapping it and starting over, completely wasted the money because the technology doesn't work. Mind you, we are very close to Silicon Valley in Sacramento, and yet the government can't figure out how to make basic technology perform.
Yeah, crazy. The high-speed train is insane. They're never going to finish building it. By the time the high-speed train the thing about self-driving cars is actually, I think that's going to be better than high-speed trains. That's one of my opinions, but one of my controversial takes. Because they'll be able to drive super fast in along with other self-driving cars. You can like go in a draft line together or something. But maybe not as fast as a high-speed train. But we have earthquakes and mountains and things that make it very difficult to buy a train, and then nobody wants it in their backyard. It's a bunch of NIMBYs. Nobody will allow the train tracks to be built near them. So they haven't finished anything, spent a ton of money on it. If they might build one from LA to Las Vegas. But that's it. Do you want to see more videos? Here's a guy from the Somali Leering Center. So weird thing happened with this Leering Center. Oh, I'll address this. Maddie says I was joking, but all the things you keep repeating about Candace are things that could be used to derail any inconvenient news story ever. That is a fact. I knew it was about Candace. That's okay. Sure, I guess. That's okay. Well, I appreciate you hanging with me, even though I have Candace derangement syndrome. But it's I would say, like some people have said, they're like, oh, Candace Owens spent 4 months and has 0 theories. Meanwhile, she could have just gone out on the street and exposed Somali daycare centers. People are comparing this journalism to Candace's journalism and in a negative light. So this is journalism. What Candace does is like 4 months. What do we have so far? Nothing. Even, you know what I mean? And this isn't an inconvenient news story. This is a convenient news story for people on the right. So I think it's a good thing. This actually helps the right for sure, because it gives them a talking point. They want to expose fraud and Democrats want to cover it up. I think it's good. It's a good talking point for the right. It's helpful for the election coming up. I'll talk about Tyler Robinson. Some documents came out. We'll get to that part of the show. I know you're interested. And I know people just hate me for it, but that's all right. I don't mind. I'm not doing things to be popular, obviously. Here is the guy at the Leering Center. Oh, that's all right. Who cares? You want to see it? I'll play it, actually.
The YouTuber that was making the claims?
Nah, that's all right. He's just the guy at the Leering Center. Suddenly a bunch of kids show up. And it's open, even though some people were saying it was closed. It's kind of confusing. Here's a document about autism claims, which have gone from $3 million for Medicaid to $400 million in 5 years for autism in Minnesota. The government is very inefficient at spending money. But like I said, they might be motivated to give money away for free. Here's James O'Keefe that was talking about Somalis doing illegal ballot harvesting schemes. See, the Democrats need them to get elected. The Democrats love our Somalis. So James O'Keefe did an expose in 2020 about ballot harvesting in Minneapolis.
James O'Keefe here in downtown Minneapolis at the scene of the crime. The person you're about to meet, Liban Mohammed, aka King Liban 1, boasts about the hundreds of absentee ballots in his car.
Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Wajida gaarigaygu waa buuxaa. Waxaas waa absent ballot salka yaala. Soo ma jeedin. Fiiri, waxaas oo dhan soo ma jeedin. Waa buuxaa gaarigaygu. Waa buuxaa yaala. Waxaas kullu waa Jamal Usman way. Fiiri. Fiiri. 300 clear maanta soo dhacday oo Jamal Usman.
In a different language. 300 ballots for Jamal Osman. So it's about ballot harvesting in the Somali community. Apparently, people have been looking into this fraud for many, many years. New York Post published a story from 15 years ago. Mike, everybody has questions about Candace. I'll deal with it. That's fine. Nathan, just so we know, what side are you on? Candace versus Erica? Or are you just covering the soap opera for clicks? Well, I can understand the accusation that I'm covering it for clicks. When I cover Candace Owens, more people tune in. But I'm losing subscribers. I have been ever since I came back. If I wanted to gain subscribers and get clicks, I would actually do what Jimmy Dore is doing and promote Candace Owens. So why don't you ask yourself, whose side is Candace Owens on? Or is she just doing it for clicks? I can just turn it around at you. Whose side is everybody on who's supporting Candace Owens? Because I'm looking at Twitter and stuff. Seems like the people that support her are the ones that have the bigger followings. So are they doing it for clicks, or like whose side are they on? And actually, whose side are you on? What if Tyler Robinson is guilty? When you feel bad that you dismissed it entirely? Some of the documents came out today. Looks like there's more video that hasn't been released. Kind of proves Candace wrong. Candace claimed he didn't turn himself in, but his defense said he did. I'm not on Erica's side, but there's no evidence that she killed Charlie. And that's what Candace is claiming, even if she denies it. Am I covering it for clicks? You can accuse me of that. I am covering it because it's a trending topic. And also I happen to find myself interested. So I'm just talking about something I'm interested in. Probably more than I should, to be honest. Some people are probably sick of it. Whose side am I on? I mean, Candace versus Erica, like, why would I pick a side in that? Candace is a despicable person. Erica is really strange. But I wouldn't call Erica... Erica is on the same level as Candace. Candace lies for money, obviously. And clicks and fame and is willing to attack anyone who disagrees with her and make their life miserable. And she's lied for money her whole life. She lies about other people to try to destroy their reputation. She's done it her whole life. So whose side am I on? I don't know. No, it's unpopular, but Erica's weird. She had a weird video with her husband and stuff, but there's no evidence she killed him. And that's what Candace Owens is claiming. She was having an affair and plotted to kill Charlie so that she could take over the organization. That's what Candace is claiming. Is that fair? And like it's as making and so it's become super popular to make videos about Erica acting weird, which is fine. She is weird. But Candace is weird. If that's our standard. Erica didn't put her ex-boyfriend in charge. Bearable pain. That guy who you're talking about, Cabot Phillips, she didn't put him in charge. He did something like a lot of people did and was like, oh, I'm going to support Charlie and try to be like him, I think. But I don't think she put him in charge. Setting up the crime scene tent at America Fest was pretty weird. Well, to be fair, it wasn't the crime scene exactly. I know it was super weird, but it actually wasn't the crime scene. It was just the tent they always set up. So, but it did come across as weird because people took selfies there, and that was the tent under which Charlie got murdered. But it wasn't technically the crime scene. It was just the tent that he always was under. So I guess that's why they did it. I mean, I don't support TPUSA. They're running cover for Zionists still. So not a fan. As far as JD Vance goes, though, I'll probably vote for him. I don't know. He's not perfect, but nobody's perfect. I'd probably vote for him over whichever Israel-loving candidate runs against him, like DeSantis or Ted Cruz. I mean, that's what's going to happen. It's a split in the party. Splits everywhere. Everybody has critics. Here is Minnesota Attorney General admitting that Somalians were imported to vote Democrat, basically. So here's the Democrats. That was the theme of my show, is that Democrats are running cover for Somalis because they get votes.
The election is very important.
Yes, it is.
So can you tell us why the Somali communities are very important for the election?
Well, the Somali community is critical. In my own election, I wouldn't be in office without the help of the Somali community. Somali voters came out in very large numbers and were able to register people to vote. Very recently I think there was several thousand Somalis who were just naturalized as U.S. citizens. Yeah. Somalis can make a huge impact on this election. And I can tell you without a doubt, it's not just in Minnesota that Somalis make a big difference in the election. Also in Ohio, which is a battleground state. Somalis that are in Columbus, Ohio, and in Virginia, all have a role, an opportunity to play a very big role in this election. And so I think many of us are counting on the Somali community to get involved, stay involved, but not just vote, help others vote. On my campaign, we have tremendous leaders. For example, Hibu Isaac, who is a great leader, very articulate, very smart young lady who is out gathering in Somali voters and other voters to get them to the polls. Also, we have Miriam, who's on our campaign, and others as well. So we believe that the Somali community plays a critical role, not just in Minnesota, but in Ohio and in Virginia. And so call your relatives out there so we can get them to the polls.
Wow.
There you go. I'll continue to answer the chat. We engage with the chat. My biggest gripe with you tonight, Nathan, is that the way you portrayed Jimmy Dore, him and Kurt Metzger are passionate people, and I don't think faking their beliefs at all. Well, they're not showing very good judgment. I saw Jimmy Dore's latest video where he's just parroting what all the Candace Owens simps said, which is fake, which is that Mitch's story was confirmed. So that was Jimmy's latest video from today, which is that Mitch's story was confirmed by interviewing Mitch's son, who was there to talk shit about him, and just confirmed that he got a call while Mitch was on the base. That's disingenuous at best. So I don't think Jimmy is showing good judgment at all. And Kurt Metzger is out there. You know what I mean? I like Jimmy. I told people to tune into Jimmy. He talked about the vaccine when nobody else could. He had vaccine damage and stuff. I've gone to one of his shows. I'm a big supporter of Jimmy Dore. I have been, but he's not showing very good judgment supporting Mitch's claims. He's really not. So I just question why he's doing it. Obviously, he's getting clicks. You don't ask him, oh, Jimmy, are you doing this for clicks? That's how you get clicks. I just don't think it's very good judgment. That's all. And it's got to make it hard for me to follow him, to be honest. Like, if you can't show good judgment about like this whole claim about that Mitch made, which Candace is trying to downplay like it was no big deal, then I question you. I question everybody now. Like, there aren't that many people left. It's like she's friends with a bunch of weirdos now because there's nobody prominent that supports her anymore. Like, so on her spaces last night, all she had was a bunch of nobodies, or that would be nobodies, except that they support Candace. I think Ian Carroll is about to drop off. Ian Carroll isn't supporting it, so I actually respect Ian Carroll more than I did, even though he likes to get pegged, apparently. Like, I actually respect him a little bit because he's not going with the Mitch narrative. Like, you have to show some judgment. That's all. So we can move on to Candace Owens, since that's what everybody in the chat's talking about. I'm not trying to talk about it. I was trying to talk about Democrats covering up for Somalis. Here's another Democrat covering up for Somalis. Like, everybody's putting out their support of Somalis. Governor Bob Ferguson. So I don't know. I'll ask the AI. Find out what state he's a governor of, either Ohio or Washington, I assume, because that's where the other Somalis are. So we have Somalis in Washington state and Ohio, apparently. Yeah, he's the governor of Washington. So they're about to do investigations in Washington, where there's also a huge Somali community. So he came out with his support just today or yesterday, saying he's met with his Somali American community leaders to discuss the deep damage inflicted by Donald Trump's harmful rhetoric and reckless deportations. Here in Washington state, we recognize that diversity is strength. So he's coming out. He's probably going to regret that. The good thing about this story for Republicans is it's creating a good line. It's a good talking point for the election. It's the first good thing that's happened for Republicans in a long time. Something almost everybody can agree on. Almost everybody, or everybody who is already who probably, like, people who voted for Trump, basically the Republican coalition. I think they can all align behind this one. So I'll get to your questions about this. I'll get to the questions about the Charlie Kirk assassination once we cover this news. Okay. I see that's what's filling the chat, but I can't be distracted by that at the moment. I want to cover this news. Then we'll talk about it. Okay. Then we'll talk about it. I'll try to remember that comment from you. Question everything twice. It says, if you're discounting people questioning the assassination story, you haven't looked into it enough. If you're going to discuss it, you should devote a full day to looking into it. Back to the start. I've devoted 4 months looking into it. I watch all of Candace's shows now in full. That's an argument I got into somebody before. Like, oh, just watch Candace's show. You don't watch her show, or you haven't done enough research. I watched Jimmy Dore. I've seen all of the things that people say is weird. Yeah, everything that's weird. Mikey McCoy walking away. The guy doing the fake reaction in advance. I've seen it all. The maroon shirts. I've looked into it. So I can do more research, but I do research. Anyway, I gotta get off that for right now, though. We can address that in the second hour of the show. We're almost there. Okay. I know that. See, like, let's see. Okay. I just have a few more things to get through. Here's former Somali prime minister just saying how Ilhan Omar, her real interests are with Somalia.
قضية إلهان معها قضية إلهان معها قضية مينيسوتا معها قضية غير مريكان قضية إلهان وقضية صومالية.
He just said the interests of Ilhan Omar are not with America, they're with Somalia. That's like on record. And Ilhan Omar said that too. That's enough to make me want to agree with Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump was just putting out like red meat for his base when he was being so rude to Somalians, because basically not all of them are scammers. That's all. And like the ones that went into Cinnabon, I didn't see them doing anything crazy. So you don't want to create an atmosphere where people are just being openly racist and calling them N-word and stuff. I thought Donald Trump kind of invited that. Like, I'm not into racism or labeling or putting people in groups, kind of like Tucker says, Islamophobia, etc. I'm not that guy. I'm still a classical liberal as far as that goes, and a good Christian in that way. Like, I don't hate people for groups. I don't hate Jews. I don't hate Muslims, and I'll always be nice to anybody I see. And I think everybody should be that way until somebody else fucks with you. But pointing out that Somalis are widely engaged in fraud is fair. And if you want to denaturalize them and deport them if they're doing fraud, I don't mind, actually. Like, get these foreigners out of here if they don't want to be in our country or they only care about Somalia. And Ilhan Omar married her brother. Deport her. I'm okay with that. But I'm sure there are nice Somalis. There are nice Muslims. I've known them, I don't know that many Somalis, but I'm sure they're not all bad. So, but all the same. Here's a guy talking about how this is a state representative in Ohio talking about how the main thing to do is to support Somalia. They don't care about America, it seems like. And they're open about it. That's not American. It's in another language. I'm not going to play it. It's in another language. He says in English, our main objective is to discuss things that concern Somalia. It is our country, our people. Our aim is a united front to lobby for Somalia. These people are getting elected by Somalis to do things for Somalia, not America and their local communities. I'm all for their communities doing well in America and giving money back to America. But it seems to me like they're probably taking things from America and sending it to Somalia, most likely. So here's where Tim Walz said the majority of crime is committed by white men. He says the majority of crime is committed by white men. Here we go.
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed. I think for the community to maybe educate their population, because I think what you're seeing here is there's secondary victims in this, that there's providers inside the community that are then victimizing the community themselves by signing them up. Because when we're going to some of these people, they're like, I had no idea I was in this program. So I think it's asking us then, for every crime, which of course the majority being committed by white men, asking us to do more about that. I think it's crime in general. And I think the biggest thing on this is just making sure that we're educating the population. And again, this is 80 people or so that have been convicted in this, maybe some more in that, out of a broader ring. Medicaid fraud will stretch across all racial demographics.
This is only going in your left ear. If you're one of those people like me that wears one AirPod, if it's in your right ear, you're kind of screwed right now. FYI. Podcast listeners, etc. You rewind 50 seconds and make sure to have your left ear plugged in.
All ethnic groups. So I think it's really important for us to note each community's got this in their own midst, but to blame them and say that they should have been responsible for stopping it, I think that's a pretty hard reach. I think we continue to educate folks about why they shouldn't commit crimes. You would hope that it's being taught both at home and at schools and in our society. But no, I think this idea that the Somali community is to blame for this because they didn't do more, I think that's how we got into this. And that's, again, I know we're not going to lose the whole plot here. All this work that's being done, Donald Trump brought this to the attention like this is something brand new. This is not brand new, and it's been being worked on, but he made it white hot and very dangerous.
The majority of crime is committed by white men. What about per capita? That's what I would ask him. Who's committing more Medicare fraud per capita, Mr. Walz? And actually, it is probably a community problem, I would suggest. I'm sure other Somalis are looking the other way, like I said before. And they're probably registering their kids there and getting some kind of kickback for it, if I had to guess. So it is a community problem, most likely. Not that all Somalis are involved in it, but probably a lot of them are. That's what I'd guess. I'd guess these centers have kids enrolled who are Somalis and probably get some kind of kickback too in a lot of cases and look the other way because it's other Somalis. That's how groups work a lot of times, especially when they aren't assimilating into this country and probably don't care about white people or the American government because they're Somalian and they care about Somalia and don't want to integrate and don't want to assimilate. And you could make the same argument about Jewish Americans in some cases too, probably. They've been kicked out of 109 countries and it was never their fault because they don't assimilate and they do things for their group. Not all of them, but and they're in our government, they're dual citizens. The same kind of argument you can make about Jewish people supporting the state of Israel more than the state of America. But as far as this fraud goes, I think there probably is some blame to go around the Somali community. I think that's actually kind of fair. And like I said, I do think this is a really good talking point for Republicans because obviously Democrats are the ones covering it up, including Tim Walz. Here's Tim Walz saying it's white supremacy.
This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy.
There you go. So there's an interview with Nick Shirley. So there's that. And then here's another Democrat, Brian Krasenstein, trying to cover up for him. Again, this is just not a good look. It's just not a good look trying to cover up for Somalis right now. Trying to say, oh, this guy, here he is trying to say that it's not real.
You've probably seen the video of far-right journalist Nick Shirley claiming that he uncovered billions of dollars in Somalian fraud in
He said
Minnesota.
100 million.
I'm going to show you why it's a bunch of BS.
This is the strangest place I've ever been to get healthcare. Healthcare here, healthcare right here, another healthcare company right here. There are 3 healthcare companies inside of this building right here in this room of 7.
Let's just pause here as he points to some of the healthcare companies. He's right. The building that he's in is filled with a bunch of healthcare companies, mostly run by Somalians. But what he doesn't tell you is these are home healthcare companies. Therefore, you wouldn't actually get healthcare at any of these because these are just office buildings where they can set up and manage the funding of healthcare to somebody's home. You can Google all these companies yourself, but patients are never actually expected to show up there. Therefore, when Shirley walks in and asks for healthcare, they look at him like he's a nutcase because he really is.
We're looking for the best rates of healthcare here inside this building because we have so many options. Who can we talk about getting the best healthcare?
I don't know.
No?
Sorry.
Let's take a look at the daycare facilities he showed up at.
I'd like to check a child in the daycare. Can I speak to a manager? Where can I get paperwork to file for my son? I want to put my son Joey in daycare.
Once again, the daycares are almost certainly at-home daycare services. These are like management companies. They send people out to someone's home and provide education for families.
If you believe that.
One company could be tied to literally dozens of homes or dozens of children, and there won't be a single kid that walks through that door. What Nick Shirley does is called lying by omission. Please share.
I mean, if you believe that, man, if you believe that, if that those people are so rude and so evasive because actually they do daycare at home, why wouldn't they say that then, Krasenstein? I mean, the reflexive defensiveness, again, it's just stupid. Why would they act so shady? Why would they act so shady? Why wouldn't they say, oh, we do home daycare? Why wouldn't they say that then, dude? If you're such a genius. Oh, yeah, they're just providing daycare at home. Okay, so why don't they say that? Why don't they say, oh, we do daycare at home? We don't have kids here. Instead of being evasive and seeming guilty. It's ridiculous. That's the craziest excuse I've ever heard. So there you go. Democrats are running cover for Somalis. All right, there we go. Now we will open up the chat, and now you guys can comment about your favorite topic, your favorite show. Candace Owens. You can ask me whatever questions you like. I saw somebody claim that he got blown up by a lapel pin. See, that's the thing. Is actually the people who follow Candace Owens. I don't know why they follow her because she's not going with those theories. Some people are upset with Candace, but they'll still follow her because they either don't think Charlie got killed. That's the auto hoax types, which I know about. Auto hoaxers will say it didn't happen at all. It was just fake. And then some people have other theories, like he was electrocuted, it was a lapel mic, etc. But as far as that goes, you heard a gunshot. You did hear a gunshot. So it seems like he was shot with a gun to me. I'm not familiar with what a temporary cavity is from a projectile. And I know I used to be the false flag guy. Yeah, I would be. I mean, Las Vegas, my channel got shut down because of the Las Vegas shooting. There has to be a false flag for me to be a false flag guy. I used to think everything was. And actually now I don't. That's all. I don't think everything is. That's all. Because I realized, oh, I should probably have some evidence instead of just like making claims. The algorithm and the rules kind of made me do that. I realized I was like, oh, well, I can't make claims anymore that things are fake. I wasn't allowed to. You're just not allowed to on YouTube say that something that's widely reported is fake. You're not allowed to by the terms of service. So I had to be extremely careful. But there were a lot of super weird things that used to happen. A lot of like ISIS attacks, like almost every one of those was super weird. ISIS attacks. It seems like the false flags slowed down a lot with the emergence of the new age that we're in, where everybody's a conspiracy theorist and everyone has a camera. Kind of with Trump getting in office, it seemed like the false flags really slowed down. We used to have ISIS terrorist attacks all the time. The truck attacks that would kill somehow hundreds of people, like the Nice truck attack or the Christmas market attacks. I don't know. But yeah, but I mean, I'm still into real conspiracy theories. It's just that not everything is. That's all. And there are a lot of auto hoaxers who think everything is. That's all, like David Weiss and stuff, who thinks Charlie didn't get killed. That's just a particular group that's very online and very engaged. So the inflation of Charlie's tissue seen in slow motion is where you see the truth. Which one? That there is some, what do you mean? I can look into it. The cavity thing. Anyway, here's some things from the documents, from the court documents. Tyler Robinson is in court. Okay, Candace Owens did a Twitter Spaces last night, which was huge, predictably, because she was the number 1, 2, and 3 trending on Twitter at one point yesterday. And she said she would welcome people who disagreed with her. And I was like, oh, wow, that'll be really interesting. But then with the very next tweet, she said, oh, unless you believe the official story, and then you're just a retard. That's the kind of thing I can't really get behind. And Jimmy Dore does it too. They're just like Fed slop. You can't believe the official story. We won't even consider the official story. And they use this tactic where they're like, you're a retard. And it's just dismissed out of hand, which is like is a silencing tactic. It's like, oh, if you believe the official story, you're an idiot. And it's like you're automatically dismissed. And that's what Candace said before her show yesterday. First, she put out a tweet that said, I'll welcome people to question me. And then her next tweet said, unless you're going to say it was the official story. And it's like, well, that's not really considering all possibilities. You have to consider the official story might be true. Otherwise, like, what are you doing? You have to at least consider it. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to accept people I disagree with, unless you believe Tyler Robinson killed him, and then you're an idiot. It's like, well, that's not a debate. And it wasn't a debate. She had, and the only part of it that was a debate didn't go well for Candace. And then she ended up name calling Harrison Smith from InfoWars. Was like, what are you saying, Candace? And then she was like, you're being lame. Like, you're bringing lame energy. You're being weird. It's just bitchy and catty, and they just put people down. It's a really toxic, like, her followers are incredibly toxic. They'll just call you a pedophile. She's created an atmosphere, a super toxic atmosphere, where anyone who questions Candace is open for just like baseless attacks. And now it's Harrison, like anybody, even if they supported Candace a long time and she owes them a lot, it's like she'll just turn on people. And it's given like the green light to her followers to do the same thing as she does. Anyway, here's from the documents from the case, which came out yesterday. This document from his defense lawyers said that he did surrender. Candace Owens claimed he didn't. So that's another falsehood from Candace. From his own defense lawyers, it says he surrendered. It says a neighbor of his was a retired sheriff from Washington County, and he got in that man's car, and they took him to the sheriff's department with his parents in the vehicle with him. Okay, so that's another claim that Candace made. It's like Candace, it's like, she's like, oh, I'm going to defend Tyler Robinson, even though he might be guilty. It's a weird stance to take, especially if you like Charlie Kirk, and Tyler Robinson might have killed him, or might have at least at some points. She says, oh, I think like on it's all disingenuous. On Piers Morgan, she was like, oh, I think Tyler had something to do with it. So sometimes she'll say that. Depending on who she's in front of, she'll say different things. Maddie Brown says, tons and tons of us just don't believe the Tyler Robinson story, and Candace is the best we've got. Well, it's been 4 months. It's gone exactly nowhere. Trust me, the Mitch story is going to go nowhere. The Egyptian planes went nowhere. The maroon shirts, the bees, what else do you want to say? The French assassins. None of it goes anywhere. That's the one thing that's why I was having trouble following her. I was like, what's your point, Candace? Like, what's the theory? It's a new theory every day. So if Candace is the best you've got, that's saying something. That's like, wow, that's tough then. You got Candace, you got Ryan Matta, you got Diligent Denizen, you've got just a bunch of, Baron Coleman. You've got those people too, but they all just say the same thing Candace does. But you'll still have those people probably. You'll have Ian Carroll. So what's wrong with Ian Carroll? Is he not the best you've got? Candace is just the biggest audience. Mr. Cranky says every lead doesn't always go somewhere. Well, what about when every lead goes nowhere? It's not that every lead doesn't always go somewhere. Every lead so far has gone nowhere. Everything's just weird. It's based on feelings. Here's another document from the Tyler Robinson case, which says there's a lot of surveillance footage that we haven't seen. Candace is asking for that. It says this case involves a lot of surveillance camera from UVU, and we're starting with December 10th being the most probative, most important day, then working backward from that. So apparently there's extra security camera footage, which we haven't seen yet. That's from the case files. The defense lawyers are saying that everybody's a conspiracy theorist. The defense lawyers don't appreciate what Candace Owens is doing. And Candace Owens basically thinks Tyler is innocent sometimes, most of the time. She says Tyler Robinson is innocent. So you'd think that they would be interested in her investigation if it was actually helpful. But they're like, in the documents, this is from Tyler's defense lawyers. To conspiracy theorists saying things online, we are all aware of that. I've received some wacky phone calls and emails, people telling me what they think happened here. It's noise. We're not litigating this case in the press. We're not talking to crazies, says Tyler Robinson's lawyers. So it's not helping them either. We're going to get cameras in the courtroom. We're going to have a case. So we're going to be able to watch it and see what they have. They might have video of him shooting the gun. And then is Candace going to say, oh, that's not him? I mean, Candace has proven that whenever you prove her wrong, she just comes up with another theory. Here's her tweet. Automatically disqualified to speak if you are trying to tell the public Charlie got shot by a lone shooter on a rooftop with a 30-06 bullet that was stopped by a magical neck, she said. After she said people could question her. So that's, and then she didn't open it up. She opened it up to Harrison. So I'll play some of that from Harrison. Or first, I'll play this. This is going around. I guess this is helpful for some people about how she makes claims and then claims she didn't. And somebody said she doesn't want to get sued. She doesn't want to get sued, but she's already said things that would get her sued. She says things and then pretends she didn't say them all the time. So she's pretending like having Mitch on was, first of all, she says it was no big deal. It was just one show. Gosh. That's what Candace claimed in this thing yesterday. She was like, it was just one show. Why is everybody else making such a big deal out of it? That's what she said. It's like, what are you, stupid? The guy claimed, like, you claimed that she claimed in advance that having this guest on would make the government admit that they were involved in a conspiracy to kill Charlie Kirk. She claimed that. And then was like, then had the guest on who claimed that Erica was there and that Brian Harpole was there and that this congressman was there. And then eventually that Cabot Phillips was there with Erica. And that was like, I don't know. Why, like, what's wrong with that? I was 50-50 on the guy. That's what she said. She was like, I don't know. I just had him on. I was 50-50 on him. But now everybody else made a big deal out of it. So now that's really suspicious. And now people really need to prove that they weren't there. That's a good question, Blazing Stars. Why isn't Candace canceled? That's a very good question. Why hasn't she been demonetized? Especially for the stuff that is genuinely anti-Semitic that she said when she attacked Ben Shapiro. Like, I got videos taken down. I got videos taken down just because I played a clip of Kanye West when he went off the rails and started saying stuff. And what he said wasn't as crazy as what Candace has said. She's still monetized. She still has all of her sponsors. It's a really interesting question to ask. Maddie says it's because they're of the Streisand effect. They weren't worried about that before. If YouTube canceled Candace, a bunch of people would celebrate. And a bunch of people still exist. But she should, by the terms of service, she should have gotten a strike on the video attacking Ben Shapiro. Because she did a bunch of anti-Semitic stuff, like genuinely. In particular, the thing about Jews running the slave trade, like that's not true, from what I can tell. It's just totally false. And she held up a book that's apparently like a super anti-Semitic book, which is why it'd be like holding up the protocols, the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, basically to prove your point. She held up this crazy book that was called The Talmudic Jew, which apparently is like what totally widely discredited and stuff. And then said that Jews ran the transatlantic slave trade, which is apparently totally false. I used to believe it just because I heard everybody say it. I actually used to believe it. But then I saw that like people have done research on it and stuff. But yeah, things have changed though. Things have changed. Like, she should be thanking Elon Musk all the time because Elon bought Twitter that any of us are allowed to say anything anymore, and that I got my channel back. It's all because of Elon Musk, pretty much, buying Twitter. So anyway, here's an example of Candace walking back her claims. It's because asking questions is okay if you do it the right way. But it's totally disingenuous to say all she does is ask questions. She makes accusations against people that she knows are accusations. She knows she's accusing Erica Kirk of murdering Charlie Kirk to take over the company. Everybody who follows her knows that. And you'll see her followers post exactly that. She knows she's saying that Erica Kirk was having an affair with Cabot Phillips. And that's why she plotted to kill Charlie Kirk to take over the organization. She knows that's what she's saying. And then she tries to weasel out of it all the time. But anyway, here's just like a clip. This is something people have been sharing, so I'll just show it to you.
What about his burial? How come we haven't seen anything about his burial? We saw so much and then we saw nothing. And the reason that's like a big hush-hush secret is because Charlie had a Catholic funeral mass and he is buried in a Catholic cemetery.
But pre the meeting with Erica, you repeatedly questioned why we weren't being told where Charlie Kirk is buried, or even if he has been buried yet. Did you get those answers?
You have the wrong commentator who questioned that. I think that was Milo Yiannopoulos.
You've never asked where Charlie's buried?
Nope.
But if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing Erica of?
Yes.
Of murdering her own husband?
She's accusing TPUSA insiders and other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Yes.
It's just, I don't even know how to respond to it because it just never happened. Realizing that nothing in Charlie's life was real. It's just something that keeps me up at night. Just nothing in his life was real. The assassination of Charlie Kirk was something akin to a regicide, right? The assassination of a king to install a new ruler who the king would have never approved of. It's so crazy.
She has accused us of lying about Charlie wanting Erica to take over for him if he died.
Never happened. And it just so happened that Charlie Kirk kept notebooks and diaries. He was so diligent that he wrote down his succession plan featuring who he wanted to take over for the organization in the event of his untimely death. Like, he just, in the third notebook, he was like, oh, and if I accidentally get shot on campus, here's what you should do. Call Erica. And then after you call Erica, come find this notebook. And if during this process of our imagination, common sense comes on and we're like, oh, but wait, Charlie, wasn't he like a boy genius? He's a pretty bright kid. Wouldn't he have maybe formalized that succession plan outside of like a diary? But no, he wanted to put it in these notebooks. And then the plan was to guilt us, I think, to try to haunt us with the ghost of Charlie's notebooks that we're never going to be allowed to read, but we're supposed to accept that they most definitely read, like for sure. Never happened. I knew it was big. I didn't have the players. I certainly didn't suspect Turning Point USA would be, as I believe, involved in a cover-up. And we can talk about what the motives are of that. They could be financial motives. It doesn't necessarily mean they were involved in plotting to kill him. And I've never said that. Cam Higbee is on the payroll of Turning Point USA beginning in August of this year. So in theory, Cam Higbee, who was laughing off the idea of an assassination attempt, is being paid by the very organization that just had its leader assassinated in broad daylight.
There you go.
For the entire world.
She just said it. Being paid by the organization that just had their leader assassinated. And somebody says, Candace didn't accuse her of murder. You're repeating Shapiro lies. Well, that's what I thought when Megyn Kelly came out and said that she had never accused Erica Kirk of murder. Okay, maybe she hasn't said it exactly, but that's certainly what she wants people to believe. And that's what her followers believe. You're making a semantic argument that Candace didn't accuse her of murder. That is certainly, unless you're insane, what she's implying. Certainly. There's just no two ways about it. She maybe didn't say it exactly, but she just said she accused TPUSA of murdering him. She said it was a regicide. She basically has. She really has. So I don't know, like, maybe she didn't, like, she's trying to be careful and not get sued. But actually, she hasn't been that careful, really. She has accused TPUSA. She just did in that clip I played. So, and her followers all believe it. She knows that. So I don't know. I mean, her theory is now, because of Mitch, what she denies is that Erica Kirk was having an affair with Cabot Phillips. They were seen together in the hotel. And then Mitch stumbled on a secret military meeting where they were plotting to kill Charlie Kirk. That's obviously what she's saying.
They were involved in plotting to kill him. And I've never said that. I was in this aggrieved stage, and I really didn't poke my head up until weeks later when I could stop crying about it every second. Charlie Kirk, my friend, is dead. First, this is fantastic that Preborn is doing this. To remind you guys about Pure Talk. Also reminding you guys about American financing. Also reminding you guys about GNO land. Also telling you guys about Just Thrive. You can head over to our website, CandaceOwens.com. You can sign up, buy yourself a hat. I'm not going to stop unless Erica Kirk asks me to stop.
We were told that if we said stop, they would stop. And we said stop. And I'll say it again. Please stop.
Please stop. Please stop lying. But as soon as she tells me what it is I've lied about, I will cease lying immediately.
There you go. So anyway, that's a little clip. Yeah, she did say that if she was told to stop, she would stop, and she didn't stop. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen next. I mean, I don't know. She's just going to keep going. Carefully edited hit piece. Yeah, sure. But it's fair. It's fair to point out the inconsistencies, because otherwise you're just accepting her lies. When she says that Mitch was no big deal and that she just had him on and it was just one show and she never accused anybody, and Harrison was on asking her, like, what's your point, Candace? Well, this was her point. She said it before he came on.
I just cannot see how this would lead to anything other than a full confession from the government about the military's involvement in his assassination, but I'm just going to deliver the facts and see where they land. Welcome back to Candace.
Maddie says, I bet you'd say the same thing about interviewing Halbig now. Well, Halbig is so much better than Mitch. But yeah, now I couldn't have Halbig on because he's a big time conspiracy theorist. When Alex had him on, when I had him on, the only conspiracy theory he was talking about was Sandy Hook, and he had a background, and he's not a criminal, like he didn't have a criminal record, and he was a school safety administrator who had opinions about Sandy Hook. So at the time, he was a good guest. At this time, I wouldn't have him on. People also say, Nathan, you're being hypocritical. You had Vegan Mikey on. Yes, Vegan Mikey also looks like Mother Teresa compared to Mitch Snow. Vegan Mikey, but I cut him off. Vegan Mikey, because he lied to me about having a criminal record. But to be honest, it was like he threw his cell phone at his girlfriend once while they were having an argument. But just because he had lied to me, I cut him off. Mitch lied to Candace about the drug tunnel thing, as far as we can tell, according to some other people. So Mitch lied to her about the drug tunnels. He lied to her about being on the run from cartels, according to other people in Mitch's life. The most amazing thing I heard, which was just totally incredible to me, was that she was like, I don't care. That's what she said. And so she goes, I don't care about Mitch's past. I don't care about what any of these women say about him. She said that several times during her spaces last night. She doesn't care if he abused women. She doesn't care all the stories about him lying in the past. She said over and over again, I don't care. It is like, she's like, it's me too. Which is amazing to me because she has all these women that follow her who you would think wouldn't want to support a documented wife beater. And not just one. If it was just one woman with a 1-year restraining order and it was all in the past, but he has ongoing cases against him right now for what he's done to women and children. And she was like, oh, it's just me too. I don't care. And that has to be shocking to some of the women who listen to her, I would think. It's totally incredible to me that she would say that and have so many women that listen to her to say that I don't care if he's a wife beater. I don't care if women come out and say he's a wife beater, and then to attack the women. That's what she does next. Like, she attacks the women. Like, oh, these women accuse other guys. So like, we need to be looking into the women who accused Mitch. It's like, okay, if it's one, but like a dozen with ongoing restraining orders, and he admits punching one in the face in a text message. He admits it in a text message that he punched somebody in the face. Like, I don't know. It's insane. I've never heard anything like it before. Like, I cared when people came after me about Vegan Mikey, who I had on my show. That's who we'll compare him to, because it is comparable. And this is why it's like, I'm in a position where I can talk about it, because I've had on guests that were controversial. Vegan Mikey was a controversial guest who had controversial claims. However, I backed up some of his claims. Vegan Donuts is like a satanic donut shop. What did I call it? Vegan Donuts? No, it's Voodoo Donuts is a satanic donut shop. There were people involved with Comet Pizza who had relocated to Portland and were making child-sized coffins, who Vegan Mikey said he interacted with. I verified that they were in Portland making child-sized coffins for Voodoo Donuts. So actually, like, I pretty much believe everything Vegan Mikey said. But compared to Mitch, I mean, Vegan Mikey is just a drug addict, which actually you should forgive for somebody who claims to have been abused as badly as he was. But I still had to cut him off. I still had to say, I don't know. He was a grifting drug addict in the end. He really was. Might have been totally reasonable, and maybe I should have stood by him. but he ended up taking money from other people and stuff. So anyway, but that's my comparable guest, my comparable controversial guest. But he was way, 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 way more believable and compelling than Mitch. Way more believable and compelling than Mitch. But maybe I should have edited him more still, and I still cut him off because he lied to me about something. And I didn't think that was okay. Mitch lied to Candace, and she doesn't care because he told her a story she liked. She says it. She's like, oh, he told a very compelling story because Brian Harpole is weird. He's like, oh, he said Brian Harpole was there. Well, that makes sense. So we're going to forget about everything else. Just focus on that. But yeah, I had Vegan Mikey on. I had on David Schurter, who is a strange person, but he was involved in he was actually involved in the stuff that went on in Omaha, which was well known and documented, the Boys Town stuff. So actually, David Schurter wasn't a really bad guest. He wrote a book about it, and there was a documentary about him and stuff. So anyway, and then Candace was questioned by, she had one person on who questioned her, which was Harrison. I think his name is Harrison Smith, right? And this is how that went. And I can open up the phone. Somebody suggests I open up the phone. I can. I've done it before though, and nobody calls in. So I can open up the phone if somebody wants to call in to discuss it with me. But anyway, here's how that went. I won't play the whole thing. But here's how that went and how the logic went.
It's good to hear from people who disagree with us. So Harrison, if you want to unmute yourself and jump in, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I guess my whole thing is, why does this meeting even matter? Like, what is the actual claim that's being made here? That's been my confusion the whole point, the whole time, is like, okay, let's say that there's absolute proof, photographic evidence that everything Mitch Snow says is true. Like, who cares? I mean, what does that prove? What is the actual accusation? Who do you think was conspiring with who to do what?
Yeah.
And I think, obviously the name of the episode was, the day before Charlie Kirk was murdered. The insinuation is that this was a assassination planning meeting, which I don't even see any evidence of that. And then people I'm arguing with online are saying, no, this has nothing to do with the assassination.
Yeah.
So, I guess, if the space is why this matters, why does Fort Huachuca even matter? Like, what is the claim being made? I still don't even understand that.
So it matters because why would Brian Harpole be on Fort Huachuca at all? Right? It matters because he's giving an alibi, which means he doesn't want to be associated. Like, it could have easily not mattered, kind of, to speak.
See, this is what's crazy. This is the craziest schizo logic I've ever heard. She actually says, because he gave an alibi, Harpole, because he gave an alibi, which she doesn't accept, he must be, there's something weird about that. That's weird. That's the schizo logic that's going on with Candace right now. It wasn't a big deal until they made it a big deal. Why would they deny being there? Why would they deny being there if nothing weird happened there? It's like, what? And like, the evidence that they were there is a paranoid schizophrenic who beats women and lies about everything. That's the evidence he was there. She's like, oh, why would Brian Harpole be at the base? Why would he give me an alibi? Like, it wouldn't be a big deal, but he gave me an alibi. Like, why does he care if he was there? It's like, what? You're accusing him of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. So, and he has an alibi. So, but because he gave an alibi, that makes it more suspicious. It's like, what is going on? Like, I feel like I'm in crazy land. This is why I know I have Candace derangement syndrome. It's because this stuff makes me crazy. Like, what logic are people following? It makes me insane. It makes me feel insane. because everybody agreed. Like, it seems like because she has so many followers, and then she only stacked the deck on her spaces with people who agreed with her. I'm like, has the whole world gone crazy? Like, genuinely, I'm concerned. Like, the whole thing makes me, it really fucks with my head, because I think to myself, oh my God, people really are buying into this? This is crazy. And it's this many people. And like, if you post about it, like, you get all of her followers attacking you, and it's like all her followers, and you get ratioed for saying things that make sense. Like, what is this world that has been created? It's so wild. It really is. Like, it's taking up too much of my mental space. Like, I wish I wasn't having to deal with that. I wish I wasn't having to click on every tweet I see to see what people are saying. And I wish I didn't have to see these people saying this crazy shit. I'm like, it makes me worried for humanity. Genuinely. Makes me genuinely worried. And I can't blame Candace Owens exactly, because I think people are inclined to think this way. If it wasn't Candace Owens, it would be Ian Carroll or maybe Baron Coleman. Maybe they would be doing it without her anyway. And conspiracy theories were already spreading independent of Candace Owens, I think. But it's crazy. The logic is just so, it makes me feel like people have gone crazy. That's how it makes me feel. Maddie, I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter whose side I'm on. It doesn't matter if I agree with Tim Pool. Like, I'm on, like, everybody's on my side, except for a few, like, as far as legitimate accounts, legitimate channels, there aren't any legitimate, except for Jimmy Dore. There's nobody legitimate who supports Candace Owens. There's not one person who had like a career based on telling the truth that supports Candace Owens. There's not one. So it's like, okay, I'm on the same side as Tim Pool and Ben Shapiro. Okay, but it's not because, like, that's just saying that is I'm outraged on behalf of the official narrative. It's not that. I'm open to conspiracy theories. I'm interested in conspiracy theories. It's not that I'm not open to it. It's just like, what there is no what I really didn't get about Candace Owens is there is no theory. There hasn't been. Because half of her followers keep saying Israel did it. Half of her followers are like, oh, it's the Jews. But she's been off that for a while. And then the Egyptian planes, never knew what that meant. Somehow that was tied to Israel too. But now it's the military and TPUSA. I mean, that's the theory, as far as I can tell. I don't know. It's like, I mean, the latest guest is super, super problematic. I definitely don't believe Mitch. That's all, for sure. There's just literally no evidence of that story. So that story is the worst. That's kind of like the final straw, basically, is Mitch. and like taking his claim seriously, and then raising 145 grand for him, which she said he's not going to take. So what's going to, she was like, she literally said, well, I don't want to refund the money. That's what she said. She was like, oh, he said he's not going to take the money. And so what's going to happen? So what, is she going to take it then? She was like, he's not going to take the money, but I didn't want to refund it. That's annoying. It's like, okay, so he's not going to take it. You're not going to refund it. So, like, what happens to the money then? Hopefully you'll give it to the people he's abused. But she's not talking about that because she says she doesn't care. But anyway, this is the story. I'll play a little more of this clip. It's like, it's because he gave an alibi that it's suspicious.
Why this matters. Why does Fort Huachuca even matter? Like, what is the claim being made? I still don't even understand that.
So it matters because why would Brian Harpole be on Fort Huachuca at all? Right? It matters because he's giving an alibi, which means he doesn't want to be associated. Like, it could have easily not mattered, kind of, to speak to your credit. He could have been like, yeah, I was at Fort Huachuca with my brother. And my brother's in the military. I was dropping off some food. Okay, like that could have been then suddenly a dead end. That would have been nothing. Now, because Mitch had described this as a top secret meeting in an off-site building and had described this as top brass at the Pentagon and said that these sorts of meetings, and I am forgetting the military term, are when you're just about to embark on like a mission. I know I really uneducated, but military guys will sound better saying that. It was compelling. Like, okay, like I said, Brian Harpole was acting funny. He's been acting weird. He's been telling verifiable lies, and he cared enough to present an alibi, meaning he didn't want people to think he was there, right? So if you have to give someone an alibi, it's because you don't want people to think that you're there. There is an alibi is not needed if there's nothing to hide. So,
well, if you're accusing him of plotting Charlie Kirk's murder on a military base, then maybe you'd want to provide an alibi. I don't know. If he has one, which he did. And she's like, oh no, that's suspicious. Well, you're accusing him of killing Charlie Kirk. So maybe he wants to say he wasn't there. Is that suspicious, really? Then Erica wants to say she wasn't there.
Well, that's why it matters. I think that's why it matters.
That's
the
reaction, why it matters.
This
reaction is what matters.
Rather than being forthcoming, is why it suddenly feels like, okay, this is important because no one's acting normal. No one's just like, oh yeah, cool, he was there. Like, it also is, as we have now learned, it's an intel base. He was telling the truth about exactly what building it was. I didn't name the building on my show because I wasn't sure if that would be like a national security problem, but it just happened to be that JTF was borrowing that offsite building, and it was supposed to be a top secret meeting for those purposes. Somebody that was involved in blacking out the windows had sent us a tip. Again, it's how people are reacting to the meeting that lets us know that it's important.
Right. That's why.
Okay. I mean, I guess
regarding the hotel, I never said it was important. Like I said, my perspective was there's 1,000 different reasons that she could have been at that base. Her mother has a contract or had a contract, has a contract with the DOD. Erica has been open about her mother's ties to the military in the past. She actually did an interview and said that she moved to Arizona because her mother had a contract with the military. So again, weird thing is when Andrew's like, Erica wasn't in some fort, as if he's never heard of Fort Huachuca. His brother is in the military. His brother is Captain Curtis Colvett. His first cousin is Captain Robert Colvett. So that kind of a language is why I've named this, why it suddenly really matters, right? It was sort of one episode. I didn't exactly dedicate a whole series to it. The reaction has been so almost like violently obsessed that the public is now going, oh, okay, well, it feels like there's something here. I think that's just sort of our natural instinct.
Okay. I mean, I think if you're saying that somebody is somewhere and they weren't there, then providing the alibi is not in and of itself suspicious. If the alibi is not confirmed, I guess you can be suspicious of that. But again, I still, there's still not an answer. Like, okay, let's just say you're right. Let's just say that absolutely they were there.
Yeah.
What does that prove? What is the accusation? Because what it sounds like, and I mean, what the insinuation obviously is that this was a planning meeting for the assassination, and the people there had pre-knowledge of the assassination and were therefore in on it. So I think that if you are making that accusation, which in effect you are, right? You're in effect saying, okay, Erica Kirk and the head of TPUSA security were at this pre-assassination planning meeting.
Erica was there, so you guys have to stop repeating that. It's Erica was never at that meeting, and that's another thing. I've never said Erica was at the meeting. Mitch has never said Erica was at that meeting. There was never an indication she was at that meeting. He did not see her on September 9th. It was Brian Harpole who was at that meeting. To my knowledge, Brian
and then
Harpole,
she said it like it's true. So she's opening herself up to getting sued by claiming that what Mitch said is true. It was Brian Harpole who was at that meeting. Well, according to a crazy person. And it was just super convenient. Like, she's like, oh yeah, I found it really compelling. Well, you found it compelling because that's what you wanted to hear and you knew your followers would love it.
I don't know why he would be at an intel base at a meeting with top brass. And what I can tell you is if he was there, Turning Point doesn't know he was there. According to Erica and Justin Strife, who I sat down for 4.5 hours. So if Turning Point has him on their payroll and they've outright purchased a security firm and they don't know what he's doing on an intel base, yeah, it matters. And we don't need to know the conclusion to follow the clues here that something's wrong. So that there's this fashionable thing where people are always like, well, what's the final thing you're saying? Well, we don't know the final thing that we're saying because that's not how an investigation works.
Well,
like,
you
have
can
to follow the thing that's the lie. We have to follow, okay, this guy said he was here, he wasn't. What does that mean? I don't know what it means yet. I don't know what it means yet. What I'm saying is the reaction to this is not normal. Brian Harpole shouldn't be on an intel base if Turning Point doesn't know about it. And he's presented an alibi that doesn't actually cover where he was, but he felt it necessary to give an alibi. So, I don't know, interesting. And I think we have a right to think. So, if that's cool, I'm just going to let somebody else jump in right here. I think, is that okay, Harrison? Or do you want to just have a final thought there?
Sure. Okay. So Erica Kirk was not there. You don't believe that Erica Kirk was there at all.
She wasn't there on the 9th. She was not seen on the 9th. It's not about whether I believe she was there. She wasn't seen on the 9th. That was never said. He never said it. I never said it.
Okay. But yeah. She was seen on the 8th.
Yes. And not at the Intel meeting, not in the Intel, headquarters or whatever building they were using. She was not seen with the top brass, nothing like that.
So the pre-assassination planning meeting happened on the morning of the 9th. She was seen in the area on the afternoon of the 8th, but those were unrelated. She just happened to be there.
They were related because of the person she was with. Who he believes looked like Cabot
Phillips.
He did see that person at the meeting on the 9th.
Okay, so you are saying that basically these people were there to conspire to kill Charlie Kirk, right?
I mean, you can keep saying what you're saying, or you can listen to what I'm saying. But if you want to just say what you're saying, just say it and don't put it behind you're saying. Just say, hey, I'm Harrison and I'm saying, right? That's easier, I think.
Okay, hi, I'm Harrison. What I'm saying is that in 2 months, nobody is going to remember the name Mitch Snow or Fort Huachuca, and this is not going to go anywhere, and that this is a nothing burger. I just think it's an absolute nothing burger that's not going to lead anywhere. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. You can prove me wrong, but again, my whole thing has always been that this devolves into this question of like, was he there? Was he not there? And the whole time I'm just going, what does it matter? If the conclusion is that he's a complete liar, it's the exact same outcome as proving that these people were actually there, because so far you haven't connected it to the assassination in any way whatsoever, except that maybe this guy thinks that he saw people that are around Charlie Kirk. And my whole point is, obviously the insinuation is, I mean, again, when you're saying Erica Kirk was there, but not actually there on the day, but in the area, but not because of the assassination meeting, but it's like, okay, clearly the insinuation is that these people had something to do with the assassination, and you can make that claim or not, or pretend that you are, or pretend that you're not, but you obviously are. But like, that's all. I don't really care about any of that.
Thanks,
but you have to.
Thank you. Let's give somebody. I think just for you to say something clearly and obviously and clearly doesn't make it clear or obvious.
Okay.
I'm following this investigation. Charlie was assassinated. I'm going to take every step, and I'm going to say what I know at the exact time that I know it. So I cannot say that it was definitively an assassination meeting. I can say that I have a feeling about this meeting that if it is in fact Brian Harpole there and he's lying about that, then that's not good. It's not a good thing, because there's no reason to lie unless you have something to hide. But thank you so much for your feedback. I appreciate that, and hope to speak in.
There you go. So she just kicked him off. That was before she said his energy was lame. But so anyway, that was the one person she had on who had something negative to say. And it didn't go that well as far as I was concerned. So anyway, I covered it. I see people talking about it. So we have some disagreements in the chat, which is what we like. We like disagreements. Well, make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. Make sure to comment for the algorithm. All the things for the algorithm, please. Make sure to give me coffees by going to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil and leaving messages. Go to truthclothing.io to buy your closeout t-shirts for $5 and $10. And then I'll check my coffees right now, and I'll continue to check the chat. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Let's check our coffees, see if anybody contributed today. We love hate coffees the best. Oh, great. Casey Dave bought a coffee. Says, great show as usual. Thanks, Nathan. Thank you for that. Orient Pilgrim bought 3 coffees. The last show, Downfall of Candace Owens, was a great master class of how to debunk conspiracy theories. You should send that episode now to universities or military. They might hire you. Nathan Stoltman. Good luck. Oh, thanks for that. That's nice. Didn't get that many views, but thank you for that. I appreciate it. Orient Pilgrim, 3 coffees. Thanks for that. All right. We got some coffees. And I drink coffee. So it actually goes toward coffee and cookies, which I bought some cookies today too. So thanks for that. Poets Dream Sat says, I love my t-shirts. Remember that, everybody. Everybody does love their t-shirts. They're very nice. I wear them every day. And they're old now. I wear shirts that are like 6 years old and they're still good. Gone through lots of washes. You just have to, if you don't want them to shrink, you do what I do and you set your timer on the dryer. Just set a timer for I do it sometimes for 13 minutes or so on high. And I take them out damp and I hang them up to dry so they don't shrink. Because I wear a large, but if it shrinks, it doesn't fit anymore. So I have to be careful. They are cotton, so they shrink. Any plans for New Year's Eve? No, unfortunately. We'll see. I'll see. Maybe I'll do something with somebody. But I only have one friend, kind of. And it's my ex-wife. So it's kind of weird, but I don't have any friends or anything. Just you guys. So New Year's Eve tomorrow, I'll probably stream because I got nothing better to do, but not at midnight. I'll probably go to sleep before midnight, but unless something else comes up, maybe something will come up. But who do you go through to have your shirts done? I use Redbubble and some of their stuff is crap. I use a local print shop. We used a local print shop in Austin and we used a local print shop here in town. That we were going with this one in Austin because they were pretty good, but it's not cheap buying shirts. We're selling them for less than we paid for them overall, I think, at this point, especially considering the storage costs and stuff. We're losing money basically, but it's still money because they're there. So, are any personal fireworks allowed in California? Doubtfully. Nothing good. But like I said, I'm not going to be partying, I don't think. But we'll see. Maybe I'll go out to dinner or something. Maybe I'll get lucky, go out to dinner or something. Poet Dream says they're good quality t-shirts. The hoodies are very thick. We're sold out of all the hoodies, but they are nice. We have one sweatshirt left that's really nice. A Bitcoin sweatshirt. And that's $20. So... Carly says 39 is too old. Yeah, I'm 47. Synthetic says where I live, people just shoot their guns toward the ocean. Yeah. Don't have any guns. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. It's always great to see you. Thanks for the coffees. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you probably tomorrow at the same time, most likely. All right. Probably tomorrow at the same time for people who aren't doing anything. Thank you, Carly, who says I don't look 47. Thank you. I take supplements to try because I'm trying to live forever. Actually, I take supplements. Turmeric is good. Turmeric, black seed oil, omega-3s, vitamin D. Oh, apple cider vinegar, CoQ10. These are all good things to take if you want to slow down your aging. So I'm just telling you guys. What else? CoQ10 is good. Vitamin C, omega-3s, I think I said. Turmeric is really good. Zinc, I take too. So those are the things I take. And yeah, my hair hasn't really turned gray and I'm not totally bald yet. So thanks. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next one. All right, for now, that's what it is.